محمد بابا برناري صلوات.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. 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 بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم رب شهر رمضان الذي أنزلت فيه القرآن وافترضت على عبادك فيه الصيام صل على محمد وآل محمد وارزقني حج بيتك الحرام في عام هذا وفي كل عام واغفر لي تلك الذنوب العظام فإنه لا يغفرها غيرك يا رحمن يا علام. اللهم صل على محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم إني أفتتح الثناء بحمدك وأنت مسدد للصواب بمنك ويقنت أنك أنت أرحم الراحمين في موضع العفو والرحمة وأشد المعاقبين في موضع النكال والنقمة وعدم المتجبرين في موضع الكبرياء والعظمة. اللهم أذنت لي في دعائك ومسألتك فاسمع يا سميع مدحتي وأجب يا رحيم دعوتي وأقل يا غفور عثرتي فكم يا إلهي من كربة قد فرجتها وهموم قد كشفتها وعثرة قد أقلتها ورحمة قد نشرتها وحلقة بلاء قد فككتها. الحمد لله الذي لم يتخذ صاحبة ولا ولدا ولم يكن له شريك في الملك ولم يكن له ولي من الذل وكبره تكبيرا.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر.
اللهم صل على محمد. الحمد لله بجميع محامده كلها على جميع نعمه كلها. الحمد لله الذي لا مضاد له في ملكه ولا منازع له في أمره. الحمد لله الذي لا شريك له في خلقه ولا شبيه له في عظمته. الحمد لله الفاشي في الخلق أمره وحمده الزاهد بالكرم مجده الباسط بالجود يده الذي لا تنقص خزائنه ولا تزيده كثرة العطاء إلا جودا وكرما إنه هو العزيز الوهاب. اللهم إني أسألك قليلا من كثير مع حاجة بي إليه عظيمة وغناك عنه قديم وهو عندي كثير وهو عليك سهل يسير. اللهم إن عفوك عن ذنبي وتجاوزك عن خطيئتي وصفحك عن ظلمي وسترك على قبيح عملي وحلمك عن كثير جرمي عندما كان من خطئي وعمدي يطمعني في أن أسألك ما لا أستوجبه منك الذي رزقتني من رحمتك وأريتني من قدرتك وعرفتني من إجابتك فصرت أدعوك آمنا وأسألك مستأنسا لا خائفا ولا وجلا مدلا عليك فيما قصدت فيه إليك فإن أبتى عني اعتبت بجهلي عليك ولعل الذي أبتى عني هو خير لي لعلمك بعاقبة الأمور. فلما مولا كريما أصبر على عبد لعيم منك علي يا ربي إنك تدعوني فأولي عنك وتتحبب إلي فأتبغض إليك وتتودد إلي فلا أقبل منك كأن اليتطول عليك فلم يمنعك ذلك من الرحمة لي والإحسان إلي والتفضل علي بجودك وكرمك فارحم عبدك الجاهل وجد عليه بفضل إحسانك إنك جواد كريم. الحمد لله مالك الملك مجري الفلك مسخر الرياح فالق الإصباح ديان الدين رب العالمين. الحمد لله على حلمه بعد علمه والحمد لله على عفوه بعد قدرته والحمد لله على طول يناته في غضبه وهو قادر على ما يريد. الحمد لله خالق الخلق باسط الرزق خالق الإصباح ذي الجلال والإكرام والفضل والإنعام الذي بعد فلا يرى وقرب فشهد النجوى تبارك وتعالى. الحمد لله الذي ليس له منازع يعادله ولا شبيه يشاكله ولا ظهير يعاضده، قهر بعزة الأعزاء وتواضع لعظمته العظماء فبلغ بقدرته ما يشاء. الحمد لله الذي يجيبني حين أناديه ويستر علي كل عورة وأنا أعصيه ويعزم النعمة علي فلا أجازيه. فكم من موهبة هنية قد أعطاني وعزيمة مخوفة قد كفاني وبحجة مونقة قد أراني، فأثني عليه حامدا وأذكره مسبحا. الحمد لله الذي لا يفتك حجابه ولا يغلق بابه ولا يرد سائله ولا يخيب عامله. الحمد لله الذي يؤمن الخائفين وينجي الصالحين ويرفع المستضعفين ويزع المستكبرين ويهلك ملوكا ويستخلف آخرين. والحمد لله قاسم الجبارين مبير الظالمين مدرك الهاربين نكال الظالمين صريخ المستصرخين موزع حاجات الطالبين معتمد المؤمنين. الحمد لله الذي من خشيته ترعد السماء وسكانها وترجف الأرض وعمارها وتموج البحار ومن يسبح في غمراتها. الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله. الحمد لله الذي يخلق ولم يخلق ويرزق ولا يرزق ويطعم ولا يطعم ويميت الأحياء ويحيي الموتى وهو حي لا يموت بيده الخير وهو على كل شيء قدير. اللهم صل على محمد عبدك ورسولك وأمينك وصفيك وحبيبك وخيرتك من خلقك وحافظ سرك ومبلغ رسالاتك، أفضل وأحسن وأجمل وأكمل وأزكى وأنمى وأطيب وأطهر وأسنى وأكثر ما صليت وباركت وترحمت وتحننت وسلمت على أحد من عبادك وأنبيائك ورسلك وصفوتك وأهل الكرامة عليك من خلقك. اللهم وصل على علي أمير المؤمنين ووصي رسول رب العالمين عبدك ووليك وخير رسولك وحجتك على خلقك وآيتك الكبرى والنبأ العظيم. وصل على الصديقة الطاهرة فاطمة الزهراء سيدة نساء العالمين. وصل على سبتي الرحمة وإمامي الهدى الحسن والحسين سيدي شباب أهل الجنة. وصل على أئمة المسلمين علي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي والخلف الهادي المهدي حججك على عبادك وأمنائك في بلادك صلاة كثيرة دائمة. اللهم وصل على ولي أمرك القائم المؤمل والعدل المنتظر وحفه بملائكتك المقربين وأيده بروح القدس يا رب العالمين. اللهم اجعله الداعي إلى كتابك والقائم بدينك استخلفه في الأرض كما استخلفت الذين من قبله مكن له دينه الذي ارتزيته له أبدله من بعد خوفه أمنا يعبدك لا يشرك بك شيئا. اللهم أعزه وعزز به وانصره وانتصر به وانصره نصرا عزيزا وافتح له فتحا يسيرا واجعل له من لدنك سلطانا نصيرا. اللهم أطهر به دينك وسنة نبيك حتى لا يستخفي بشيء من الحق مخافة أحد من الخلق. اللهم إنا نرغب إليك في دولة كريمة تعز بها الإسلام وأهله وتذل بها النفاق وأهله، وتجعلنا فيها من الدعاة إلى طاعتك والقادة إلى سبيلك، وترزقنا بها كرامة الدنيا والآخرة. اللهم ما عرفتنا من الحق فحملناه، وما قصرنا عنه فبلغناه. اللهم المم به شعثنا واشعب به صدعنا، وارتق به فتقنا، وكثر به قلتنا، وعزز به ذلتنا، واغن به عائلنا، واقض به عن مغرمنا، واجبر به فقرنا، وسد به خلتنا، ويسر به عسرنا، وبيز به وجوهنا، وفك به أسرنا، وانجح به طلبتنا، وانجز به مواعيدنا، واستجب به دعوتنا، وعاتنا به سؤلنا، وبلغنا به من الدنيا والآخرة آمالنا، وعاتنا به فوق رغبتنا يا خير المسؤولين وأوسع المعطين. اشفي به صدورنا، واذهب به غيظ قلوبنا، واهدنا به لما اختلف فيه من الحق بإذنك، إنك تهدي من تشاء إلى صراط مستقيم. وانصرنا به على عدوك وعدونا إله الحق آمين. اللهم إنا نشكو إليك فقد نبينا صلواتك عليه وآله، وغيبة ولينا، وكثرة عدونا، وقلة عددنا، وشدة الفتن بنا، وتظاهر الزمان علينا. فصل على محمد وآله، وعنا على ذلك بفتح منك تعجله، وبضر تكشفه، ونصر تعزه، وسلطان حق تزهره، ورحمة منك تجللناها، وعافية منك تلبسناها، برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم أدخل أهل القبور السرور، اللهم أغني كل فقير، اللهم أشبع كل جائع، اللهم اكس كل عريان، اللهم اكس دين كل مدين، اللهم فرج عن كل مكروب، اللهم رد كل غريب، اللهم فك كل أسير، اللهم أصلح كل فاسد من أمور المسلمين، اللهم اشف كل مريض، اللهم سد فقرنا بغناك، اللهم غير سوء حالنا بحسن حالك، اللهم اكف عنا الدين واغننا من الفقر، إنك على كل شيء قدير.
اللهم صل على محمد.
سورة الفاتحة.
الحمد لله.
Moulana, we're now recognizing our hosts for this evening, the families of Hakan Sibtain, along with the families of Nadim Rana, Khur Nakhwi, and Raza Ali. We're very thankful for their generosity. May Allah shower His blessings upon these families in this life and the life hereafter. Awaiting your arrival tomorrow are the families of Hussain Ali, Ahmad Ali, and Qasim Shah. They would very much like for you, along with your family and friends, to join them tomorrow evening at 7 p.m. starting with the recitation of the Holy Quran. And with that, I'd like to invite Hujjatul Islam Maulana Sayyid Muhammad Rizvi Sahab to the podium to address the gathering on the topic of Sahabi of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. Par Muhammad wa ali Muhammad ba'awad Quran nare salawat.
Salawat Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawat.
For the families of the marhumeen of the sponsors tonight, Please join me in reciting once again Surah Al-Fatiha. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين بارئ الخلائق أجمعين باعث الأنبياء والمرسلين ثم الصلاة والسلام والتحية والإكرام على الأفضل الموجودات العبد المؤيد الرسول المسدد المصطفى الأمجد والمحمود الأحمد سيدنا ونبينا وحبيب قلوبنا وشفيع ذنوبنا صاحب الوقار والسكينة المدفون بأرض المدينة أبي القاسم محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين واللعنة الدائمة على أعدائهم أجمعين من الأولين والآخرين آمين يا رب العالمين. فقد قال الله تبارك وتعالى في كتابه الكريم وهو أصدق القائلين وقوله الحق. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن أكرمكم عند الله أتقاكم. صدق الله العلي العظيم. صلوات. As tonight is the 24th night of Shahr Ramadan, we only have a few nights remaining until Shab-e-Eid, the night of Eid, inshaAllah. And in the few nights that I have remaining, I want to cover as many more of the ashab of Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam as I can, a topic with which I first started my series of lectures. The companion that I want to introduce tonight is someone who is very dear and special to Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen. Someone who is solely the companion of Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen because he was born in the 10th year after Hijrah, in other words, in Hajjatul Wada, when the Prophet made his first and his last Hajj, and he gave the famous khutbah of Ghadir. This was the time in which this companion was born. So technically he is the companion of the Prophet as well, because the Prophet saw him, held him, and congratulated his mother by saying that this child of yours will fight the hypocrites, the munafiqeen. And it is said that when a child, when the child is born, you take a bit of the date and you put it in the mouth as mustahab. Rasulullah with his own saliva put it into this child's mouth. Who is this child? Muhammad ibn Abi Bakr. Someone who Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen says, he is my son. Someone who Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen says, I raised Muhammad ibn Abi Bakr. And someone who defied the saying, like father, like son. Jaisa baap, vaisa beta. You know the saying that says like father, like son. This man destroyed this saying because his father was somewhere else, and he himself defied his father and his sister, and he stood with Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib. Born in the 10th year after Hijrah to his mother Asma bint Umays. Asma, as you know, first married Ja'far al-Tayyar, and she migrated with him to Habasha. And when they returned back, and Hazrat Ja'far al-Tayyar was martyred, he was a shaheed, the first caliph becomes a khalifa, he proposes to marry her. And because he was the ruler, she couldn't say no. And so she was married off to the first caliph. And as a result of that marriage, Muhammad was born. But as soon as Muhammad was born, his father died. His father is someone who needs no introduction, so I won't go there. But as soon as he dies, he comes into the house of Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen, because Asma then marries Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib. And so from that young age, Muhammad ibn Abi Bakr, though born in the house of his father, but was raised in the house of Ali ibn Abi Talib. And yet it goes to show you how important tarbiyah is. You can be born in anyone's house, but what matters is who raises you. What matters is who your teachers are. You know, the famous Umayyi Khalifa, Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, who stopped the cursing on Imam Ali alayhi salam. Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, he stopped the la'an. He said, stop this la'an on Imam Ali alayhi salam. They said, what is wrong with you? You are Umayyi. All of your forefathers cursed Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib. Why do you stop it? It turned out, when they researched and investigated it, it turned out that he had an ustad who was a Shia. And he says, one day we used to play in the streets in Sham, and whenever when we were playing, we used to lose, we used to get angry, or we need any reason, we used to curse Ali. For any reason, we used to curse Ali. And one day I cursed Ali, and my teacher walked past, and he heard me, and he looked at me and he looked away. That evening when I went to see him, he refused to talk to me. And he says, get away from me, don't talk to me. He says, why? What is the reason? He says, do you know who you curse? Do you know who Ali is? And he says that I would see the anger in the face of my teacher. And I went back and I asked my father, who was the Khalifa, who was the governor of the Caliph at that time. He says, why do we curse Ali? And I've seen whenever you curse Ali, your lips shake and you tremble. He says, because of the fadail and the manaqib that I know of Ali. And yet we curse him. But I know of the reality and the haqiqah of Ali ibn Abi Talib. So because he was being taught by a teacher who had immense love and hubb of Ali ibn Abi Talib, because of that he grew up and he says, no, stop the love. And so Muhammad ibn Abi Bakr grew up in the house of Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. And so he said, in Najul Balagha, he says as well that he was someone who loved me, someone who was dear to me. He was someone who was raised by me. Someone who loved me was raised by me. So he had a different father, but yet he was someone who benefited directly and grew up in the house of Ali ibn Abi Talib. Imams have praised this personality is not someone small. Because unfortunately the Muslim Ummah have ignored him. When do you see the Muslims praising him? When and where? They will praise his father, but the irony is they will ignore the son. Why? What is the reason? The reason is because of his staunch support and love of Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib. The reason is because he joined Ali in Jamal and Siffin. Otherwise, you have Rasulullah had married other azwaj. For example, Habiba. Habiba is the daughter of who? Abu Sufyan. And who's her brother? Muawiyah. So Muawiyah is the brother of Habiba. Habiba is al-Mu'mineen. And so because she's al-Mu'mineen, they say Muawiyah is Khalul Mu'mineen. Mamu, Mu'mineen ka Mamu. The uncle of Mu'mineen. So, this is repeated and propagated. So if he is Khalul Mu'mineen, then what about Muhammad ibn Abi Bakr? But no, we don't find any mention. You know why? This is the injustice done in Tariq. This is why it's important to open Tariq and get to the depth of it, to see what went wrong, what is being hidden from us. If Muawiyah is Khalul Mu'mineen, then what about Muhammad ibn Abi Bakr? But no. We won't give him that title. And so Imam As-Sadiq salawatullah wa salamu alayhi, he says about Muhammad ibn Abi Bakr, he says Muhammad ibn Abi Bakr got the nobility from his mother, not father. He got his nobility, his sharaf, his honor from his mother. And that also tells you what an important role the mother plays in the tarbiyah. You know what the hadith says? Alam al-majlis in Biharul Anwar. He says, if you ever feel the love of Ali in your heart, make dua for your mother. If you ever feel that love. You know, today, for many of you, when your parents have passed away, when you come to the majlis of Ali and Imam Hussein, make dua for your mother. Because it was the tarbiyah of the mother that puts that love in the depth of the heart. Make dua for the mother. This is the haqq of the mother. For the mother was responsible for putting this into the child. Or the hadith says that make dua for praise your mother, make dua for the mother. Because that is a sign the mother was loyal to the father. And this is Biharul Anwar, Allama al-Majlisi. And so Imam Sadiq says he gets it from the mother. Imam Muhammed al-Baqir alayhi salatu wassalam. Durud padhiye Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. I won't keep you too long. I know you're tired and last night was a long night indeed. But you've come here, so inshallah give me a little bit of your attention. And inshallah I will end in good time. I won't keep you too long for the rest of the nights. Imam Baqir alayhi salam says what? He says, listen, Muhammad ibn Abi Bakr paid allegiance to Ali ibn Abi Talib on what condition? On the condition that he will reject his father. On the condition that he will reject Shaykhain, that he will not accept Shaykh, the first two, as legitimate rulers. In fact, some of the mu'arrikheen, the historians, have said Muhammad ibn Abi Bakr was directly involved in the killing of the third. Yeah. Because he was amongst those who opposed him, along with Abu Zar, Malik al-Ashtar. These were amongst the forerunners, front runners, the ones who opposed the third. And when the house, when the house was surrounded of the third Khalifa, and before the all went in and they stabbed him to death, the one outside was Muhammad ibn Abi Bakr. Because it says haqq is with Ali. So some of the historians have even said this, that it was him who went in there who killed him. Some of them said no, he didn't kill him. He went in there, but then he let go of him, and the others came in and then they killed him. The Muslims that came from Egypt and Iraq. Because they were sick and tired. And then he's given all of the government positions to the Umayyas. Marwan was kicked out, is back. Who kicked out Marwan? Rasulullah. And now he's back. So everyone Rasulullah had kicked out, the third had brought them back in. So he was amongst the front runners of those who openly criticized, opposed the third. After him, Ali ibn Abi Talib comes to power. Now that khilaf of Ali ibn Abi Talib, which lasts 4.5 years, 4 years, 9 months or so. Shoulder to shoulder with Amir al-Mu'mineen. You know what the biggest dars, the biggest message that you get from the life of someone like Muhammad ibn Abi Bakr? When he stands with Ali ibn Abi Talib, shoulder to shoulder in the battle of Jamal, and he looks at his sister in the eyes. Is that his loyalties do not lie with family. Loyalty lies with where the haqq is, where the truth is. Because if people started following families, then he would have been on the other side. But he gave, and this is someone who was an ordinary person. He's not an imam, he's not a masoom, he's not a nabi, he's not a rasul. He was someone ordinary, but what he did for Ali ibn Abi Talib, he became extraordinary. From am to khas. someone who was armed. Yet what the love of Ali ibn Abi Talib does, what it does, that when one follows where the truth lies, and he realized that my sister may be there, my father may be there, but the haqiqah is with Ali ibn Abi Talib. And so he was someone who was shoulder to shoulder. In fact, he was someone who would attack. And in the battle of Jamal was such that, every army has an alam, the banner. As long as the banner is up, everyone fights. Why? Because the banner is up. The banner is where the morale is. If the banner is high, the morale is high. If the banner falls, then all of a sudden everyone's morale has come down, because the leader has fallen. Now you know how important it was to have the alam high in Karbala. And the alam to be held by someone who will not let the alam fall. And that's why when everything was taken from Ali Muhammad in Karbala, and the alam was taken, and everything was taken, even the hijabs and the chadars were taken, the alam was brought in front of Yazid in his qasr, in his castle. And he looked at the alam, and he says, whose alam is this? He says, why? He says, because it's full of stabs and spears, except the part where it was held. It shows you that the person who was holding it did not let go of it until the very last breath. He says the whole alam is covered with stabs and spears and arrows, except the part where he held it with his hand. He said, what do we tell you of Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas? And so in Jamal as well, you had a banner in this side. You know what was the banner on the other side? It was the camel. The camel upon which was the wife of the Prophet. And so what happened was, this camel would be in the middle of on the battlefield. This camel would be in the middle, and everyone would stand around the camel, and no one would let anyone get close to it. When Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib saw, he said, look, the camel is where the fitna is. As long as the camel is up, these people would not stop fighting, and people were losing their lives, bloodshed. So Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib says, take the camel down. So Muhammad ibn Abi Bakr moves in, Malik al-Ashtar moves in, Imam Hassan alayhi salam moves in, and anyone who holds on to the rein of the camel, the rein, the rope, whoever holds that would be killed. First person come, he holds it, Malik al-Ashtar finishes him. Second person come, Malik al-Ashtar finishes him. Third person come, Muhammad ibn Abi Bakr finishes him. So it became to a point that this camel had to be put down. And so with the attack of Malik and Muhammad ibn Abi Bakr, this camel's legs were cut and the camel came down. And that's when the people dispersed. Otherwise they were fighting non-stop. And what happens after that? When the wife of the Prophet realizes she's lost the battle, what does Amir al-Mu'minin do? He sends the brother of the al-Mu'minin, you take her back to Medina. And he had disguised, he had covered himself. When she went back to Medina, she says, Ali treated me very well, except one thing, that Ali ibn Abi Talib had sent me with those who were, men, na mahram. And at that time they would remove their niqabs and said, we are women. And there's only one man and he's your brother. Until that moment, Muhammad ibn Abi Bakr made it clear that loyalty is where the truth is. It doesn't matter where family goes. That's what the kuffar of the Makkah used to say to Rasulullah. No, we won't worship the one God, because our fathers and forefathers worshipped the idols. So we worship them, because our fathers and our forefathers did that. And so throughout generation, this is what happens. Because our fathers and forefathers did that, we do it as well. If it's a good thing, no problem, good, do it. Islam did not come to change culture. Good culture is good, should be kept. Islam only came to oppose that which was haram within the culture. Otherwise, culture is good. And so Muhammad ibn Abi Bakr, his life gives this primary example. After Siffin, my last point or two inshallah, then I'll end. After Siffin, and he fights with Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam shoulder to shoulder again in Siffin. In fact, he was the commander of the soldiers who were on foot. You had the soldiers on the backs of horses, and you had the soldiers who were on the ground. The commander was Muhammad ibn Abi Bakr, rahmatullahi alayhi. After that battle finished, Imam Ali alayhi salam sends him as a governor to Misr, to Egypt. And for some time, Egypt was under Ali ibn Abi Talib. And he also writes him instructions. Nahjul Balagha, it's in Nahjul Balagha, you can find it there in the letter part, in the middle part, where the letters are. He says, oh, Muhammad ibn Abi Bakr, I've made you the governor of Egypt. Look what he says to him, I've made you the governor of Egypt, the Hakim of Egypt. Judge between the people with fairness and justice, so that the ones who are influential do not take advantage of you and of the system, and the ones who are poor do not get disappointed from you. And then he gives him, golden advice. He says, look, in regards to prayer, salah, pray it at its time. Do not pray before time because you're busy, and do not delay it because you're busy. And remember, all of righteousness will be accepted based on the prayer. In qubilat qubila ma sawaha, when ruddat rudda ma sawaha. If the prayer is accepted, everything is accepted. And if on the day of judgment the prayer is rejected, everything else will be rejected. Now Imam Muhammed says, pray at its prescribed time. Muawiyah says, we're going to attack Egypt. They attack Egypt. A lot of the people around Muhammad ibn Abi Bakr begin to desert him. The deserters. They begin to leave him. He's left alone. He writes a letter to Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib. Says, oh Ali, send me some help. And Ali ibn Abi Talib sends him his best, his top commander, his general, Malik al-Ashtar. We'll discuss Malik inshallah in the next, maybe tomorrow or the night after, one of the nights coming. The importance of Malik al-Ashtar in regards to this. But what happens is, Malik al-Ashtar, as you know, doesn't make it. Is martyred, is killed and poisoned in the way. The Syrians attack and Egypt falls to Muawiyah. And now his martyrdom the martyrdom of Muhammad ibn Abi Bakr is such that when the news of the shahadat of Muhammad ibn Abi Bakr reaches Ali ibn Abi Talib, Ali cries. And he says, and Abbas ibn Abdul Muttalib comes from Basra to Kufa to give condolences. And Amir Mu'mineen cries and he says to him, oh Abbas, and again this is Nahjul Balagha as well, oh Abdullah ibn Abbas, Muhammad ibn Abi Bakr was someone who always tried and strived for the deen of Allah. He was a sword against the enemies of Allah. And we ask Allah, and for his shahadat, in return of his shahadat, we ask Allah to give us ajr. And when they say, one of the people when he came from Syria, he says to Ali, oh Ali, the day Muhammad ibn Abi Bakr was killed, I never saw the people of Sham as happy as I saw them that day. You know what Imam Ali alayhi salam says? More than their happiness is our grief for Muhammad ibn Abi Bakr. Is our sorrow, our gham. He says they may be happy, but our gham is more. Our huzn is more. Our sadness for Muhammad ibn Abi Bakr is more. Why? Because he was like a son to me. You know, when you love Imam Ali, remember I said 2-3 nights ago, I said the love of Ali will not go to waste. Ali ibn Abi Talib really gave him a special rank. You know why? Because he came from a family which were his enemies. His father, sister, they were against him. Yet the fact that he came to Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib, Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib gave him more attention. Muhammad ibn Abi Bakr had a son named Qasim. Qasim had a daughter named Farwa. Farwa marries Imam Muhammad al-Baqir, through who Imam al-Sadiq is born. Did you know that? Through Muhammad ibn Abi Bakr. His son Qasim, his daughter Farwa. Why? Because the good came from the mother. Because the sharaf came from the mother. And the love of Ali changes your genealogy. When you have genes, the love of Ali can change genealogy. It only takes one person to come to the door of Wilayah, to come to the door of Ali ibn Abi Talib. And that's what happened. One person came and the whole generation changed. When Halaku Khan attacked Baghdad, Halaku Khan's grandchildren became Shia, from which come the Hazaras. They go back to Genghis Khan. These people attacked Baghdad, destroyed everything. Yet because they lived there and interacted with the Shia scholars, one person became Shia. From that generation you have many Shia now. Takes one person. And I end with this here, the last point, the Shahadat of Muhammad ibn Abi Bakr, really, how the historians have narrated, really break the heart. This is Khalul Mu'mineen. He's killed, and one of the enemies of Allah on the side of the Shamis, Ahl Sham, Muawiyah, he takes his dead body and he puts him into the skin of a donkey and he burns both of them. And when news reaches his sister in Medina that your brother has been killed by Muawiyah, and it says from that day, she says, I will not eat meat. I will mourn him. And from that day onwards, she becomes an enemy of the killer of Muhammad ibn Abi Bakr. She says that he killed my brother. He may be against, but he was my brother. And Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen, he cried. And because of this, there are sermons in Nahjul Balagha in praise of Muhammad. There are not many people who are praising Nahjul Balagha. But Muhammad ibn Abi Bakr is a personality who's got praise in Nahjul Balagha. And so someone like this, someone who got the attention of Ali, should get our attention as well. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq to understand and study and gain knowledge on the ashab of Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq to fast for the rest of the days of the month of Ramadan. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the last few remaining nights forgive us our major and minor sins. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept the iftar tonight from the families who have sponsored the iftar tonight and forgive their marhumeen with a high station in Jannah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accelerate the dhuhur of Imam Sahib al-Asr wal-Zaman, so the Holy Imam can make peace and justice in this world, especially in the Muslim world and the Ummah. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Wa sallallahu ala Muhammadin wa alihi at-tayyibin at-tahirin salawat.
Abdullah, Assalamu alayka ya ibn Rasulullah, Assalamu alayka ya ibn Amir al-Mu'mineen wa ibn Sayyid al-Wasiin, Assalamu alayka ya ibn Fatima al-Zahra ya Sayyidat an-Nisa al-Alameen, Assalamu ala al-Husayn wa ala Ali ibn al-Husayn wa ala awlad al-Husayn وعلى أصحاب الحسين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا أبا الفضل العباس يا ابن أمير المؤمنين وقاسم ابن الحسن ومسلم ابن أخي وهاني